you guys? My name is Brianna and today we are going to be doing a little bit different of a video on my channel, and when I say different, like I've never done anything like this before, and I actually got a request from one of you guys to do this style of video and I thought it would be so much fun, so we're going to be doing it today. So what you do is you take all of your eyeshadow palettes from one specific brand, and today we are going to be focusing Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and with those palettes you rank them from your least favorite to your most favorite, and the catch is you can't have like two number 9s, like you have to have like a number 9 and a number 10. But the reason that I'm doing this video is I'm always getting so many requests from you guys asking me which is my favorite Jeffree Star Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, which one I prefer over another, so I thought this video would be really helpful for you guys. However, before we jump into it, I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button down below and give this video a like, and also if you'd like to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram account is @lethal_kitten. And I know doing this type of video is gonna ruffle some feathers, and also I'm gonna probably get some hate comments, but at the end of the day, we're just talking about makeup and eyeshadow palettes. It literally is no deeper than that, and I just want to put a disclaimer: if my least favorite palette is your favorite palette, it just doesn't work for me, and I'm so happy that it works for you, but for me, on my scale, it's just not my favorite. So none of the palettes in these types of orders are to offend any of you guys. I'm just telling you guys which ones are my favorite and my least favorite. So with Jeffree Star Cosmetics, I own every single eyeshadow palette other than the Thirsty palette and the first original 2 that he launched. Otherwise, I have every single one, and I also have the Morphe collab, which we will be including in this video. Now, my least favorite palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics is gonna probably annoy some people, and that is the brand new Bloodlust palette. And the reason why this is my least favorite is because, oh my gosh, my eyes literally burned and itched every single time I have used this palette. And the last time that I used it, my eyes were so swollen after I washed the makeup look off, and I had all of this like dry scaliness on my lash line, and it was just such a hot mess. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like the colors, they're pretty, but I just expected so much more with this palette. I'm just not as into it as I thought it would be with the color story even. And this Vile Serpent shade, I've tried it a couple of times and it just doesn't work for me. And because of that, I just don't like this palette. And I'm sorry if this one is your favorite palette, but for me, it just doesn't work. So the next eyeshadow palette in line is unfortunately the Morphe x Jeffree Star collaboration. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Morphe eyeshadow palettes. I have a lot of them and I really enjoy using them, and some of them are my all-time holy grails. But unfortunately, I just don't like this palette, and I find that the quality of this one is subpar compared to my other Morphe palettes in my collection. And the shimmers in this palette to me are just so lackluster, and they just don't give any wow factor whatsoever. I mean, like, you can go in with a pressed glitter, but not every single look do I want to use a pressed glitter to get something really special with. And I just don't like the color story of this palette anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, when I first saw this palette, I was like, oh my gosh, that palette is so unique and so cool. I've never seen anything like it before. Like, tell me the last time that you've seen a green and pink palette, because this is the only one I have ever seen. But the thing though is you're really limited with the type of looks that you can do with this one, because you can do these dark greens, grungy smoky eyes, you can do the brighter greens, you can do the brighter pinks, and then these like reddish pinks, but you can't really mix the two because there is no color that mixes the two together well. And I just wish that this palette had some like blues in it or some other colors that could help transition the greens into the pinks. But because there isn't any, you just get really limited with this one. Now, this next palette that we are going to be talking about, I know is a lot of people's favorite, so don't come for me if this is your favorite, but we're going to be talking about the Mini Breaker palette. And this palette to me has a really unique vibe to it, but at the same time I find it very challenging to use because of it. Like, you look at the colors in here, and when I like look at it, I think I can only do like maybe like pinky purple smoky eyes, maybe do like this yellow with the orange, and maybe even a little bit of the pink. But other than that, I just find it really hard to figure out like what kind of looks to do with it. As for the formula of this palette, it just is not my favorite. Like, this purple middle shade in the pan is so beautiful. Literally, it is my favorite shade of purple. But when you start applying it, is really patchy. It's really hard to work with and blend out. And when you start blending it out, it actually does have a tendency to lift on me and kind of almost give like these harsh lines too. And I have the exact same problem with this Hot Fudge shade right here. And this shade called Oral, that's another one. Like, it looks cool in the pan, but when you start applying it, it just doesn't have a wow factor to it. Like, it's pretty, but it just doesn't have like that sparkle that I'm looking for. And also, it looks more like an eyeshadow topper once applied. So the next palette that we are going to be talking about is the Mini Controversy palette, which is a collaboration with Shane Dawson here on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, like, this palette isn't bad. I just don't really use it all that much. Because like, when I look at this palette, I feel like I can only do a certain amount of looks with it. Like, I can do like a blue smoky eye, I can do a purple smoky eye, I can mix the two, and I can do a neutral look. And the other thing is when you look at the colors in here, a lot of the tones are very similar. So you get like one darker purple, one darker blue, you get a pastel purple, a pastel blue, blue, and then you also get a darker brown, a mid-tone brown, and then a lighter yellowy brown. So it just seems like, you know, it's kind of boring in a way. Now don't get me wrong, like the colors that are decided for this palette are not bad, like they're actually really cute, but if I'm gonna do a blue eyeshadow look, I would rather just grab, you know, my Blue Blood palette because you get literally every single type of blue that you could ever imagine with that one. And if I want to do something more on the pastel side or with like purples and blues, I'm just gonna grab my Jawbreaker palette because that palette has everything I need and also a lot more other colors to decide from. Because I have the Blue Blood palette as well as the Jawbreaker palette, I just don't really reach for this palette, and that is why it's in this spot. So the next palette is the Conspiracy palette, and I'm just gonna keep it real. I find this palette to be just an okay palette and just kind of more so on the basic side. Like if you're looking for your first ever high-end palette, or if you're looking for your first ever Jeffree Star Cosmetics one and you don't have a lot of eyeshadow palettes in your collection, you might want to actually start with this one. And the reason that I say that is because with this first row right here, you get all of your essential neutrals. The second row, you get these really nice kind of like more tone smoky eye shades. And then the last row right here is a lot of grungy cool tones. So I mean, you can do a lot with this palette, but unfortunately the formula of this one is a little less pigmented than my other favorite ones from Jeffree Star Cosmetics, so that is why I placed it here. I don't find the shades in this palette to be unique whatsoever. Like there isn't anything in this one that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this palette because it is so unique. Like I've seen a lot of palettes with these types of color stories, as well as I have a lot of these shades in my other Jeffree Star palettes. And the next one is the Blue Blood palette, and I actually really enjoy using this palette, and I use it very frequently over on my Instagram. But the thing though is with this palette is if you want to do anything other than blue or cream, you cannot use this palette, and it just has like no color variation. Because I mean, like you look at it and it's like, oh, that's so unique and just so different, and I've never seen anything like it before. And then when you start playing around with it and you want something other than blue and other than a light tone neutral, you just can't use this one. And because of that, that is why I placed it here, because I love the formula of this one. I love to use it, but you're just so limited with the color story of this one. Now, if you're not new to my channel, this is gonna really shock you, and you're probably wondering where I was gonna place this palette. And the third place pick for me is the Alien palette. I know for the longest time I always said that this was my least used Jeffree Star Cosmetics eyeshadow palette and the one that I regret purchasing because I just never use it. But lately I have been loving it, and I just find that it's a really cool little unique palette. What I really enjoy about this palette though is like the different types of looks that you can do with it, because you get these really fun yellowy greens, you get these nice like neutral smoky colors, you get a pop of purple, which is really fun, and also the shimmers in here are actually really cool and really unique too. I love this one called Interstellar and Pluto. Like they are very unique to this palette, and just overall I have been loving this one, and I love the pigmentation of it too. The only thing I hate about this eyeshadow palette though is the packaging. Like it feels like it's gonna break any second right now. But again, for the quality of the eyeshadows, I still think it is a really beautiful palette. So the palette that is in second place for me is the infamous Blood Sugar palette. I remember when this first initially launched and everybody was so mind blown with the color story. And even nowadays, you don't really see red eyeshadow palettes all that much. I mean, like, look at how beautiful that palette is. Like, it is so stunning. Like, if you love reds and pinks and purples, you absolutely need this one in your collection. But seriously, I just love the color story of this one, and you can do actually a lot with it. I know it just looks like it's majority red, but there's a lot of options with this one. So you can do this really fun bright pop of red all over the eye, which is absolutely stunning. You can do dark red smoky eyes, you can do dark purple smoky eyes, you get this really fun bright pop of pink. And also my favorite way to use this palette is 1950s inspired eye looks because of these neutrals right here. The colors that make me like this palette a lot more than Blue Blood though is this matte white right here. It is so crazy pigmented, and you can use it to help lighten up other shades as well as give you a little bit more tone variety. And also I like that this palette has a purple in it and a cool tone gray, so you can kind of mix things up and do some cool tone looks too. And last but not least, my absolute favorite palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics is the Jawbreaker palette. If you're not new to my channel, you probably know that this is going to be my all-time favorite since I'm always using it on my channel and always recommending it to you guys. I know a lot of people are like, oh, but it's just a rainbow palette. I've seen it before. I can definitely skip on it. But trust me, this one is so much more unique than that. I know this might sound weird to some of you, but I absolutely love the packaging of this palette. I love that it's very slim and very sleek and just very easy to use. And also the mirror on here is really sizable too, so you don't have to worry about traveling with another mirror with this one. And I know everybody wants the luxury experience with Jeffree Star Cosmetics and the super bougie packaging, but I just appreciate that this one is a little bit different than those, and because of it, I actually travel with this one. As you can see, this eyeshadow palette does have some pastels, and seriously, they are so good. Like, they are hands down my favorite pastel formula right now. And what I like about it is that they're not chalky, they're not dusty, they're not hard to work with. They're very easy to build up and blend out, and also they blend out really well with other colors too. And another thing is that with this palette, you get a rainbow variety of pastels, which is so hard to find. But another thing I actually really enjoy about this palette is that the colors in here are mostly matte and there's not as many shimmers. So you can create so many different beautiful, colorful looks using this one. But one thing that a lot of people don't really talk about is that you get primary shades with this one. So you get a primary matte yellow, or primary matte red, and a primary matte blue. So you can create a lot of different types of eye looks as well as create your own colors, which is really cool. What's really nice about this palette though too is that you do get some deeper shadows, so if you're looking for some definition, you can definitely do it with this one too. Because don't get me wrong, like I love a pastel rainbow moment, I love like a brighter eye look, but sometimes I want like a deep rich smoky eye, and you can also do that with this one too. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about the palettes and how I have them ordered, and let me know if you make any changes and where you would put them. But as always though, I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like. And also, if you'd like to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram account is @lethal_kitten. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!